Welcome back to another episode of Waves of Wisdom. Joining me today, all the way from Australia, is an extraordinary international speaker, coach, and an author who is on a mission to ignite conversations that amplify goodness and human connection. She is the architect behind the powerful books Do Talk to Strangers and her latest release, How to Talk to Strangers to Decrease Anxiety, Build Confidence, and Make Bigger Difference in the World. Please welcome to Waves of Wisdom, a champion of human connection herself, Kerrie Phipps. Welcome to the show, Kerrie.
Thank you, yes. It's good to be here.
Yes. How have you been?
Great, yes. So it's been a really big couple of days at the Professional Speakers Summit here in Chennai. And I've just been, reflecting on waves of insight. And when you told me about your podcast, I was like, oh, that's so beautiful, because it's like sometimes, clarity just comes in with a wave of thinking that can come from a really great conversation, or it can come from a presentation. And, it just sparks more possibilities, sparks growth, sparks connection. And we've been experiencing all of that. So, I'm still processing a lot. And
wonderful.
Excited to be here.
Yes. Kerrie, thanks for agreeing to do this. I think we are connected on LinkedIn for some time. I've been observing your work, and I'm really interested to actually learn more about the human connection aspects of it, because especially with the current wave of AI and all these new technologies which are coming, I think I agree with you. The human connection is also very important.
Yeah.
But let's start with how you started your career.
Well, my first job was being a farm girl and moving into dental nursing, which is, holding hands with strangers and helping people to calm. And feel safe, which is what we do now in leadership conversations. We might not be holding hands, but we are metaphorically and helping people to be safe to do their best thinking and their best connecting. It really was. I spent 7 years working with young people. Even before that, I worked at the bank after the dental surgery. Went through a period of chronic burnout and fatigue and a mystery illness from Asia. That was one of my second trip to Singapore and Thailand. So a very dark period. And we were talking earlier, sometimes the really challenging things that you go through can be the birthplace of something new and amazing and really get you to dig deep. It's like, what is my purpose? Like, what am I even here for? And I remember thinking, I guess I sign off my emails cheering you on. And you might have seen that in a LinkedIn message, cheering you on, Kerrie. And it hit me, it's really important to encourage people. Maybe that's what I'm here for. And I thought, that's not very important. And then I started thinking about moments like the Olympic Games, and the runners are, trying to get to the front to get across the finish line. And it's like the roar of the crowd. And I've heard them say that lifted them and carried them across the finish line. And I thought, it actually is really important. And sometimes we think that something that's really important to us might not matter to other people.
Yes.
But I've been realizing how much encouragement matters, how much human connection matters, to know that we're seen, that we're heard. And I think really I'm just alive today and doing what I'm doing today because of the encouragement and support of other people, and because other people have believed in me when I didn't believe in myself.
Okay.
But to come back to more specifically answer your question about this part of my career journey, it's been over 21 years since I started my coaching practice. And that was, a gift of burnout. It was like, where do I go from here? And how do I help people in a way that doesn't burn me out? And when I discovered coaching, and I'm talking pure coaching where I'm holding a mirror to my clients' thinking, and it's like their genius is on the table. They're looking at their world. I'm not diving in like a friend going, what about this? What about this? I'm noticing their thinking and helping them to see their world more clearly. And that was so liberating for me. I don't have to have the answers. Of course I don't have the answers. You're the only one who knows your world like you do. But there's probably things you don't see. So I hold up a mirror at a different angle and you're like, oh, now I see it. You know, I'm helping people connect the dots up here. Literally helping people make new connections in their thinking. And so throughout that process, I wrote a couple of books, but they were kind of celebrating everybody else, and they were helping people do their best thinking. So kind of coaching books and celebrating entrepreneurship in Australia, regional Australia. And then people just kept asking me, when I would tell them a story about, I met this man on the train and then this cool thing happened and now there's this ripple effect, which I didn't use that language, but it was like just explaining what happened because of a good morning, a little hello that led to something else. So people said, but how do you talk to strangers? How is it not weird to talk to that man on the train? And I thought, don't we all do that? Like we just say good morning, just out of respect or curiosity, just seeing another human being nearby and just eye contact. It really took a lot of unpacking because I felt very inadequate. Like, who am I to be answering these questions? And I'd spent the last 10 years in my coaching practice putting aside my ideas, my opinions to serve my clients' thinking. And now people are asking me to be an expert in something or telling me that I was, you know, like, you're so good at talking to strangers. And I'm like, okay. So it took a few friends and a lot of questions to pull the book out of me. And so that book is Do Talk to Strangers, How to Connect with Anyone, Anywhere. And that was 2014 when I completed it. Then I became a member of Asia Professional Speakers, which is how we've connected. And been coming up to Singapore, apart from the pandemic, since 2015. Which has opened up my world even more. And I'm talking to a lot more strangers and discovering friends, colleagues, and they've planted seeds along the way. Even momentary connections on a plane when somebody has said, you should speak in India. And I've thought, okay, really? And now this is my 4th trip to India.
Some stranger suggesting you in the plane. Eh?
Yes. And you don't realize the impact of a moment. And so just to fast forward to today, like this year, I really feel that I want to talk a lot about or ignite conversations to amplify goodness through moments of human connection, because we complicate things. You know, we feel like we want to make a difference in the world. It's really important. And so we're trying to figure out, solve big problems. But if we can just amplify goodness in moments and just pay attention to the moments of human connection, we don't know where that's going to go. And, you know, I've done 3 books now about talking to strangers. You know, there was the sequel in 2018 and then another in 2020 that really took us to a 2021 to complete and launch into the world and then go into lockdown. But, you know, books travel. They do their own thing once they're published. Yeah. I'll draw breath because I'm just telling you lots of stories now.
I was just listening. It's so interesting. And I'm, it's so fascinating actually. Something which happens in your life sometimes finds purpose. That's what actually I was also talking about. Even the same thing happened to me. For example, I was talking about this in the summit as well. For example, the passing away of my parents actually forced me to reflect back on what I was doing. I was a typical accountant, finance guy, working in the back office back then. But I know that for so many years, I love working with other people. And it's only when I did my NLP training, I found out actually that I was an extrovert. And I didn't know that before that much. Because I didn't know why I get lightened up when I'm with others and when I'm hanging around with others and why I feel I don't like to work others. You wouldn't believe when I started working I was the financial controller of a resort. And initially when I started, even if I have to do a reconciliation on my own, I feel it's so boring. To read 2 papers and compare it, even a simple balance sheet and a cash book. For example, I called over some other one to read out me the cash book so I can take bank.
So you can
I mean, I didn't realize even at that stage that I'm an extrovert. So the moment I found out, I got involved more with HR and I started talking to people, and that is incredible, isn't it? Sometimes the things which happen in your life actually divert. I think nothing happens by chance actually. It's all guiding you towards where you have to be in your life. But I think we have to be curious. We have to be always looking for it, isn't it? So you mentioned about finding this purpose. Do you think this will be your purpose forever?
Yeah, pretty much is to love people, you know, to encourage, to inspire. And encourage means to put courage in. You know, a lot of people have put courage in me. We can spark one another on toward more goodness. And so while things might look a little different, it's really about cheering people on, which is how I started signing emails about 21 years ago, because it just felt weird. It didn't feel like it fit me to say, yours sincerely, Kerrie, or yours faithfully, just the typical, this is how we finish a letter or an email. And
so what do you put?
So I write cheering you on, because I feel like that's, you know, unless the email is like, thank you, then I'll finish it with thank you. But generally, I'm finishing a message with cheering you on, Kerrie, because that's what I want to leave you with. I want to leave you feeling encouraged.
So when you initially started writing it, were you aware of yourself as you are as aware now that this is something bigger than yourself which you are trying to do, and you really wanted to cheer people up?
Well, I think it felt weird, but it felt the most right. It felt most like me. But when you want to share something of you feel that it could be judged, that people might go, well, that's weird. Everybody else writes yours faithfully, but it didn't sit with me. And I think that's just a small example of so many things that just don't sit right with me that I realized later, we don't have to do things that way. It's just that that's the expectations of others. It's the expectations of society. And, you know, in my session a couple of days ago, I just said, I finished with this quote because of the question that somebody asked me, because we went, okay, any questions at the end? Let's have a conversation. And it's a quote by E. Cummings: to be yourself in a world that is trying night and day to make you into somebody else is to fight the hardest fight you will ever fight and keep on fighting. And I might have mixed it up a little bit, but it's like, yes, it's just, there's always this fight to, and I think sometimes it's a fight for clarity because we're influenced so much by everybody else. You know, people say, oh, this is how you should do things. How many manuals are there in the world about how to write a good business letter? But if it doesn't sit with you and you go, I just want to say this, so say that. But I've been so influenced by other people and feeling like I need to measure up. You know, I felt very inadequate, you know, coming from this farm girl background, and then suddenly I'm in Singapore representing a company going, should I be here? Should somebody else be doing this? You know, and being challenged, like, no, you're doing this. And I'm like, okay, I've got to let go of that. I'm just a country girl voice that's like here on my shoulder.
The small voice.
Yeah, that voice of inadequacy has come up so many times. Whenever I'm, I guess, stepping into something else or, you know, just stepping into a braver moment, there's that, maybe you should be like everybody expects you to be, or maybe you should be like everybody else is in this context. Yeah, so that's this little fight going on. But you know, I think the older we get and the more we practice just pushing those things away and using our creative edge, our creative voice, and finding that nobody died. It's okay. We can say things in a unique way and people can go, thank you. And I think it's, like I said before, the encouragement of others. I mean, even this weekend, I've just got some incredible messages from people. You know, one girl said at breakfast after the session, she said, it's in our head that we bother much. And I went, oh my gosh, that we are bothering much. And I was like, that is so true. It's like what's going on up here, it's bothering us and it's stopping us from connecting with people. Like, what if he looks too professional to talk to me? He wouldn't be interested in talking to me. Or, you know, or he's too busy, or, you know, he thinks he's better than me, or I think he's better than me. Just all the things that we make up in our head when we could just say, excuse me, do you have a minute? Yeah.
True. And you never know unless you ask, right?
Yeah, that's right.
This is, I think, even when it comes to connections, right? And I think even if anyone can learn something from their teenage years, I mean, there were so many people would have wished that they would have talked to someone they admired, right? After so many years.
We've all missed opportunities to talk to somebody. And just coming back to, like, you know, it's in our own head that we, you know, are bothering much. We don't know what's in the other person's head. And I think I know I am so grateful for that 10 years of coaching, like neuroscience-based coaching, and understanding that no two brains are remotely alike. Like we can't know what the other person is thinking. We can't see them frown and think they're thinking that I'm not good enough. They could be thinking, oh, I've got a headache. Or they could be thinking, oh, what am I going to serve for dinner tonight? Like, we have no idea. And so that, I think, was so liberating, not just in the coaching conversations, but just in engaging with people. And also, after having coached so many people from, like, you know, celebrity athletes, models, farmers, teachers, innovators, investors, like people in all walks of life, I've realized there's so many common threads, you know, that we can all have that moment of, like, I don't know if I'm good enough for this. I don't know if I'm ready. Am I prepared enough? We all have, you know, some kind of conversation going on up here that once we're aware of it, it's like we can hear ourselves think, we can go, that's not useful. Let's change that and just go, okay, I'm here. Let's go.
That's so true. I also find out coaching quite fascinating, and I went and did ICF.
Oh, great.
As well.
Right.
So, it is, you're right. Unless we ask, we don't know. Let's look at this human connection aspect of it. right? You said now it is important for us to connect with strangers.
Yeah.
This is something even in our communities now. For example, Maldives. I have experienced this throughout my childhood life because my dad, before he became a civil servant, was actually a seafarer. So he would take me on some of his journeys to other islands.
Yeah.
And then even when I have gone, when I'm little older, alone, whenever somebody meets us, for example, elderly person meets us on the road or somebody, they will immediately ask, where I'm from. So today, when I think back about that, actually they ask where I'm from, they find that connection.
Yeah.
I think that's a beautiful example of human connection, because Maldives is so scattered around Indian Ocean.
Yeah.
There are 180, almost 200 islands people are living, right?
Yeah.
So what happened is people might have migrated over time. I have come across cases where sometimes when we were traveling on the boats, sometimes we have to stop and then we have to spend a night in that island, but we don't know anyone. And suddenly people comes up, people know that these people from the boat are from another island, and they might want a place to stay, and we don't have guest houses or hotels or places like that. So you have to stay with somebody's house, right?
Yeah.
So they come and ask who and who are there, from which island, and they ask, okay, you're from this particular island. Oh, what's your parents' name? What's your grandparents' name? From which house, which family? They ask. Then they try to go back to like 6 generations to find the connection. And
To
they
make a
say,
connection.
my great-grandfather was your great-grandfather, if you knew it.
Yeah.
So you are not going to any other house. You are coming to my house. You are my family.
Yeah.
I think that's a beautiful experience I had. But as we urbanize, as the cities are being built, even in Maldives itself, we can see even people living in the same apartment block, same condominium, doesn't know each other.
Yeah.
How can we break those barriers, right? How can we bring those island, like you grew up in a farm, I grew up in a small island, island in a farm like that with a neighborhood. But even for me, sometimes it's hard because there are people from so many other islands and coming in and living in the city, and they don't sometimes talk to each other when on the elevator as well.
Yeah. I was thinking when you were sharing that, it's like being okay with something that's a bit strange, like a stranger or a strange situation. And I think in the pandemic, that was a very strange situation for everybody, and it disrupted the way of doing things. So suddenly people who never checked in on their neighbours were thinking, maybe I'm here on my own. Maybe these older people in my neighbourhood might not have anyone. So they're writing notes and putting them under the door and saying, if you need anything, let me know. Because there was that strange interruption. And I think when you encounter someone you haven't met before, there's that opportunity to go, I don't know you. So we've been conditioned, I think, to have the walls up, to be fearful. I don't know you, so I shouldn't talk to you. But if we can be curious, and that's what those people are doing. They're looking for
Maybe
the
when
connection.
we were children, we were supposed to, especially in the last 2 decades or so, even at the school or parents were saying, don't talk to strangers, right? So can it be a reason why we get programmed now?
Yeah, and often people will look at my book and it says very clearly, do, in big capital letters, do talk to strangers. And people pick it up and they go, oh, don't talk to, do talk to strangers.
Common,
it's just top of mind. My parents didn't teach me that. They didn't say, do talk to strangers. It was actually someone who was sitting on the front row when I was speaking about my book, when I was still writing it, who suggested the title. And I was like, yeah, that's a bit disruptive. That's a bit, like confronting to people who say, don't talk to strangers. But mum and dad really demonstrated, and my grandparents demonstrated that welcome. Because we're on a farm, like the islands, if somebody is driving along and they have a flat tire or they break down and we're like, oh, what's happened? Where are you from? Where are you traveling? Come and have a cup of tea. Let's see who we can, get a mechanic. Well, Dad would be the mechanic. He'd get in there and fix it because farmers are very versatile in their skills. Yeah. But they met people from all over the world. And so they demonstrated welcoming, just honouring the human being in front, like have a cup of tea, if nothing else. And yeah, I think that while a lot of people have been conditioned with that, don't talk to strangers, there's also, because I've informally interviewed people on planes, I'm sitting there and I'm talking to a parent and I'm like, what are the conversations that you have with your kids about talking to strangers? And I remember on this like little regional flight, there's a woman sitting next to me and her 2 children across the aisle. And she said, well, I teach them, which strangers it's okay to talk to. Because if they get lost in a shopping centre or something, it's like, go and look for another mum. If you can't find me, find another mum and ask for help. Or see somebody in uniform, like a police officer or a security guard, and ask for help. So that's really powerful, because then I've also heard of children who've been so conditioned not to talk to strangers that when they're lost in a wilderness, and I was with a speaker from America, but in Australia one day, and he said there'd just been this child lost for 8 days in a wilderness, and they passed by him so often in that time calling out, but he was terrified because he didn't know who those people were. So this child was not saying, I'm here. So this kid could have died because he was so conditioned to not talk to strangers. Yeah. And so it's important that we talk about how to talk to strangers.
Yeah.
And that really hit home with me. Both that conversation with that speaker and the mum on the plane was like, yeah, okay, maybe I'm not weird. But because, you write this book and then you put it out in the world and you just think, do people think that I'm really weird because I've written a book about talking to strangers? But it actually is really important. And then I get this feedback, like that woman at breakfast the other day saying, oh, it's in our head. Yes, it is actually important that we have these conversations.
So actually, but I'm a bit concerned about this. You're right. During the COVID pandemic, during the lockdown, even with the corporates, like the leaders checked on with the every single staffs, and everybody checked on their circles, everybody checked on their relatives, everybody checked on their neighbors, and everybody was watching news, what is happening in the society. Everybody is so concerned. But as soon as this is gone, we have gone back to the business as usual.
Yeah.
Kind of.
And I think, well, it's not business as usual, it's business amplified. The overwhelm is amplified by, we got conditioned to be using social media. Maybe we were using it to connect in, how are you going? Keeping in touch with everybody. So we were on high alert. We were connecting with everybody, checking in on everybody. And I think when the pressure came off, we're like, I can't do this anymore. And yet the social media kept rolling in, the news from all over the world rolls in, and we feel like responsible for everybody and for all these different countries that are going through really challenging situations, and people are exhausted, and we can't really love everybody. We can love the person in front of us.
Yeah.
We can love the people in our neighbourhood or sitting in the seat next to us, to be present in that moment. And so I think we have become quite detached from the moment. That. Which brings me back to that,
that makes sense.
Amplifying goodness in those moments of human connection. Can we just be in the moment, which is much better for our health, for our mental health, rather than trying to carry the weight of the world. It's like, what's here now? How am I right now? And just like taking a moment to breathe, to reconnect with ourselves, and then we can connect better with others. Yeah.
Yeah, true. And Kerrie, with the technologies which are coming up, like we have seen last 2 decades of social media era. Actually, the social media is going to be a thing of kind of past, because now the way people interact also might be different, because new gadgets are coming up. The way we interact with computers will be different in the future. The way we, recently I was attending a session by a professor of visual computing, and he was saying that in the future people might not read books from physical books even. There might be digital books or audio books, or this is even for us. I mean, different people have different preference. For example, myself, I listen more podcasts and audiobooks than physical books, because I like to do. I like to listen when I'm jogging or when I'm traveling to somewhere or something like that. But I carry books, for example, on a plane or somewhere where there's no Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So in this new era, how can we? It is actually giving more time for us, right? Because we can now dedicate a lot of mundane tasks to AI. But how can we actually leverage this technology and the new way of living actually to be more human and to connect more?
Yeah, that's absolutely it. I think it's about asking that question. Because if people are not asking that question, they're just caught up in the business. Because when you have time, what happens? You fill it. So are you going to fill it with quiet, mindful moments where you can reflect, maybe create something new, like a book or a podcast, or quality time with people? What if we've automated so many things that we can just sit on the beach in the Maldives and just have a conversation and just look at the size of those butterflies? That's incredible. Which takes me back to a moment I had in Papua New Guinea, just looking at the butterflies. And when you're offline, you can appreciate the moments, but we need to be more mindful We need to be more conscious of what are we going to do with our time. I think it's becoming more and more important that we pay attention to the human connection, because we see something online on the social media that we used for years to connect. And like Facebook opened up a huge world to me, really, in so many ways and at different times, with different books that I was launching, different travels I was doing. Hey, I'm going to be in Perth. And then all these people come to meet up, and now they're friends with each other, and it's beautiful. But now we see something online and we're like, but is that real? So we start to lose trust. So it actually makes this more important, because I can see that you're real. Yes. I can, sense the energy between us, that we can have a good, honest conversation, that if we were online, even if we're just looking at each other through the screen, I'm like, are you doing something else while you're talking to me?
The energy is not there, and the transmission of energy is different, right?
Yeah. And it's like, is it you or is it an AI you?
Yes.
Yeah. Because we could just go, I'm going to the beach. If anyone rings Zoom or something, they'll get the AI version of me. And if it's really good, they might not even realize that they're not talking to me. And so, we start disconnecting from the technology, because we're like, it's not as real as actually being here in person.
Over the years, when you have interviewed these people and when you have done this research and written your books, what is the benefits of connecting with strangers, or human connection, being connected, or having this feeling of being connected with other people?
Yeah. I feel like there's so much in that question. So feel free to bring me back on track, because it is really diverse. The benefits are, so there's the most obvious ones, and this is what people wanted to hire me for when I first published Do Talk to Strangers. They're like, can you come and teach our sales team to talk to strangers and make more sales? I'm like, yeah, but that's kind of like, that's a bit boring. That's just like one part. Like, what if they actually are connecting to learn and grow and to make a difference? And so my latest book is actually called How to Talk to Strangers, to decrease anxiety, to build confidence, and to make a bigger difference in the world. And some people, when I was creating this book, were like, oh, it's a big title. And I'm like, yes, but it's really important that this is not just about talking to strangers for the obvious reasons, like expanding your business. It's really about making a difference in people's lives. It's about those moments of anxiety that we all experience when we're lost in traffic, when we're, something's going on, and it doesn't have to be a stranger. We use that word because people go, strangers, we don't talk to strangers. But you could be a stranger to the person you've been sharing a lounge or a bed with for 20 years.
Yes.
It's like seeing new thinking. So even with people you know so well, to ask them a new question, maybe a strange question, like, what do you think about this? It's like, oh, I didn't know that you saw the world like that. To let go of judgments and assumptions and recognize that other people think differently. So I think while there's, the progress that we can make in terms of making sales, growing a business, it's the depth and variety of learning that expands our thinking. And so when we have all of these different things in our head, whether it's, we file it away if it's really valuable to us or really interesting, so that when you're starting to talk to me about, like, a space program that a country's developing, I'm like, can I introduce you to this person? Because he's been working in like space projects for a while. Whereas I might have thought years ago, like, oh, that's not relevant to me. So why would I sit and talk to somebody about how he's a passionate mathematician doing stuff for space shuttles to be like exactly where they're supposed to be? But also I can learn from that. When we learn something from this industry, and the Great Ormond Street Children's Hospital is an example of this. Years ago, there's a doctor in between surgeries sitting in the break room watching the Formula One on TV and going, how does the pit crew do that so fast? And because he reached out to the leader of the pit crew, they have a conversation. So they're not just strangers, they're like strange industries to be swapping notes on. We're talking about like the changeover between, emergency, I think, theatre and then to the ward, when the patient is being handed over to the next team. What's going wrong there? Because it's not flowing like a pit crew. They can change it super fast. And so they're literally saving lives because of what they learned from the pit crew.
Formula One.
Isn't that incredible? So we can't just dismiss something as like, oh, that's not my industry. It's like, oh, that's not my industry. Tell me more about it. Because we can spark solutions for each other without even trying.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Which again leads us back to those quiet moments, maybe on the beach, but those quiet moments to reflect and let the insights come. And they come when you're just going for a walk, when you're in the shower and there's just like water pounding on your head and you go, I've just seen how that random thing relates to that. And it's like,
that's where the creativity and
we ignite creativity in each other.
Yeah. You also mentioned about like the purpose you found in your life and things like that. This is an area which I'm very fascinated about, because what happened was, for me personally, it took years of wondering and thinking, and trying to find that purpose.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's not very far away. It's just within us, but we are not looking inside. We are looking outside most of the times, right? To find it. That's why maybe most of the people cannot find it, because they are looking not where it is.
Yes. And comparing ourselves to others.
Yes.
And but we miss the obvious. It's like when you open the food cupboards at home and you're like, for an Aussie, where is the Vegemite? And it's right there, bright yellow and black, and you just don't see it because you're looking everywhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we all can miss the obvious, and that's how we can spark new insights for each other.
How important that is for someone to have identified that purpose in your life?
I think it's just stepping forward with greater and greater clarity, because I think we can get so hung up on, we can go, his purpose is really clear because he's talking about this one word. But I feel like, it's like, is it authenticity? Is it courage? Is it encouragement? Is it confidence? Is it, and we feel like we've got to be in this box with one word to go, this is what I'm here for, world. And so it can actually slow us down from actually just getting on with living a meaningful life, So if it's just, whatever language works for you to go, like, how do I make the most of this one wild and precious life? And I can't think who I'm quoting there, but it's like, how do I be my best self?
Yeah.
Because we don't want to, again, it's that fight to work out, who am I? What am I here for? We just need to realize, that's somebody else's expectation. Let's let that go. And not worry if you don't feel like you can express your purpose in one sentence.
Yeah.
But just do what you're kind of called to do. What do you feel this inkling like, I'm interested in that. And then we have these voices of doubt saying, but that's not enough. Just like I felt like, but encouraging people, that's not a good enough reason to be on the planet, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think it's a small thing.
We judge it. Yeah, that's right.
But you don't understand how big it is, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And also it connects with the human imagination, right? Because I heard somebody saying that our imagination is God's preview of what is to come.
Yeah. What's possible. Yeah.
And if we just ignore it, then it's gone, right? But how important that is to harness our own imagination.
Yes. And you know what? Just coming back to, accountancy, numbers. I met someone recently at a cybersecurity conference. Like, who would think that Kerrie would be going to a cybersecurity conference? But there I am, because one of my friends was speaking, and I met one of the other women who spoke, and she shared a numbers story, how noticing something in the numbers, it changed like thousands of lives. I can't remember the exact situation, but it was something in the UK. But it was like when they picked up this error, it was a life-changing moment.
Yeah.
A life-saving moment.
Yeah.
So I know that people in, admin roles, accountancy roles can just think, yeah, but I'm not doing something like my friend that's an international speaker. It's like, it actually could be more important in the long run. Like, we don't know where your gifts will take you and where your attention to detail might take you and what difference that might make in the world. So I think it's important to not diminish what you have and what you're doing, but just to keep exploring
and finding your passion, right?
Yeah.
This is so connectedness, because I also started my career as audit training in Sri Lanka in a Big Four firm. And what happened was I got really bored with it.
Yeah.
But later also I tried some assignments, part-time assignments on auditing. I never liked it. So I gave it away. But in this conference, I met an accountant who is really passionate about auditing.
Yeah.
And even for me to understand, because I have now matured enough, read, and I've been connected enough people, I know that different people can be interested in different things. If somebody told me 10 years back, she's very passionate about auditing and finding the mistakes in the audits, I would say, is it something people get passionate with?
Yeah. That's right. You're like, no, that's boring. Yeah, that's really cool. And so because you had that background, you could sit with her and hear her passion, be surprised by it, which probably encouraged her. Yes. But also it's like you had a shared language.
Yes.
And sometimes I think we can diminish the impact of our learning. And I remember saying this to my son when he was in school, because there's some things that you're learning in school that you go, how is that relevant to life? And it's like, maybe it's actually not about the subject. Maybe it's not actually about what you're learning, but you're learning to learn. You're learning to deal with boring situations, because sometimes in life there will be boring situations. you're learning how to have an attitude that keeps you moving forward rather than going, I'm not doing this, I'm walking out.
This is so, alike thinking with me. Even my daughters, sometimes when they are doing the exam, I used to ask this question, even from my nieces and nephews, why you are doing this exam? What do you learn from by doing the exam?
Yeah.
This is a question a lot of people don't ask.
Yeah.
And they will say, most of the people will go blank. And if we ask why you are doing the exam, they will say, we want to pass, we want to command it a star or whatever, in the good score from the exam. That's why we are doing it.
Yeah.
But my opinion of that is different. So then if somebody fails the exam, because for me, doing the exam is the thing you are doing, even for children, right?
Yeah.
For me, fail or pass doesn't matter, because failing or passing, either way, you are learning a lesson.
Yeah.
Right? So one of the lessons could be in life, if you are going to achieve something, if you don't put enough effort, if you have not practiced enough, you are not going to achieve it. If you pass, you can relate back and say that, okay, because I practiced, because I studied, I was able to achieve that.
Yeah.
It is not the grade which you get which matters. It is the learning out of that process which matters.
Yes.
Right? So how we can actually embed this learning culture in younger generation, because a lot of people takes it for granted. I think after Google has really advanced, people think they can Google anything.
Yes.
Any solution they can get out of Google.
Yeah.
For example, sometimes I go to coffee with some of my friends and we talk about some things in the world and history or something like that. People will immediately fact check.
Right.
But we are just trying to having a general conversation. And they say, no, factually, that is wrong.
Yeah.
It was not 100,000 people who died. It was actually 110,000.
Yeah. And like you could have, when I thought, what was the name of that hospital, you could have gone, hang on, let me check. But you didn't. You're like in the moment, you're in the conversation.
Yes.
And it's like, if I get that detail wrong, does that matter?
Yeah.
I think we've become citizen journalists and citizen police officers that are trying to get everybody else to be right, which is another whole challenge to human connection. If we can let that go and just be present with people. But something that was coming up for me when you're talking about learning is maybe if we call it noticing, because learning, we think it's taking in an education, it's taking in some information, but then the exam is like making sure that you take it from here and put it on the paper or in the document. But it's really about noticing. How did I do in that exam? Did I bring my full self to that? Or did I struggle with sleep the night before because I was worried? But what happened? Just notice. So it doesn't matter, like you said, if you failed, because you can still notice something in that.
You learn something because of the noticing.
Yes.
That's a beautiful way of putting it. I've never heard anybody put in that word, because maybe my vocabulary of English is... I've never heard people put it, but I think this is a beautiful way of putting it. The way you have put it it's a unique perspective, because you're right. We learn from only things we notice.
Yes. And this is what's good about strangers, because they say things that are disruptive, or just different people say things that kind of disrupt our thinking. And one of my clients did this the other day. Now, I've worked with her, in different seasons of her life, different businesses that she started. She's like reached out to me different times, can we just do coaching for 3 months or 6 months, or can we just do a one-off session just because I'm stuck in my thinking? And she's absolutely brilliant with business systems. Like, I'm in awe of her. And then she says, we need a session. Or her husband will say, why don't you call Kerrie? And she's like, oh, that's what I need to do. So she did this little story on Instagram, and she was talking about how she works with me and why I'm the best coach for her, because she said, zero accountability. And I watched that and I was like, oh my gosh, like people will see that and think, what kind of coach is she? Because accountability is kind of a part of the coaching process. But as she talked, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't hold her accountable, or I don't tell her that like I'm holding her accountable, but I will ask her, when she's had an insight, oh, I need to do it this way. Or like, for example, I'm going to have Friday afternoons off now. I'm like, okay, let me know how that goes, which is, I guess, an accountability, but it's kind of like, okay, let's explore that. So then she comes back, next session, and I'm not saying, right, did you tick all those things off? It's like, what have you noticed? And she might say, well, it's not about whether she, passes, whether she ticks everything off, does everything that she said she was going to do. If she didn't do something that she was going to do, it's like, interesting, what happened? Because she might have noticed, I don't need to do that anymore. But if we're caught up in like getting it right, being accountable and ticking all of those boxes, we kind of keep ourselves trapped in, just the learning, not the noticing. It's kind of like this meta view.
Yeah.
Like, what else is going on here? Not just, did I get it right or not? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It shocked me when she said zero accountability, because I thought...
I think that is sometimes when people don't understand what coaching is about, sometimes they might think like that, okay, this happened even when we were practicing coaching some initial days, I think, or because our coaching trainer was actually very practical.
Yeah.
She has a PhD in coaching. So, but she could have given us all the theories, given us the handouts to read and things like that. In back of my mind, because I'm going to a course, I was expecting that.
Yeah.
But instead, she kept on giving practice tips, like practicing and things like that.
Yeah.
Then initially, I was a bit suspicious even.
Yeah.
Am I going to learn anything from this?
Yeah.
There's something like that. Yeah. And then because sometimes I can be straight, so I went and asked her, why you are not giving any notes for us to read or any books or references? Then you will learn what is in the book, because every coach has their own style, and there's a framework I'm giving you. If you practice this framework, and then you come up with your own questions, and you have to be in present, because what you learn from a book, or I can give you like 100 questions you can ask, but that 100 question might not be relevant in the situation. So why should you learn? So it's better not to learn that and learn practically and by practice. So you got to practice.
Yes, And the key thing that you said there is being present.
Yes.
Because you've just taken me back to probably 2006, 2007. I was mentoring new coaches, and then I was assessing them for the, ICF pathway, the credentialing pathway. And you can hear it when the coach turns up to coach the assessor, like as if we're just a client, with their script.
Yeah.
You can hear it on the phone, because back then we just did phone coaching. We didn't have Zoom. We had Skype, but you'd be on the phone, and you could hear the practice and the saying the right things, asking the right questions, rather than being really present. And the thing that my client said to me was that she cringes when, a coach says, I'm going to keep you accountable, like as if that's a good thing. And she's like, that makes me feel like it says I don't trust you. Like, I have to be here to make sure you do what you say you're going to do. Whereas she is very self-accountable. She will do, but she wants that sounding board. She wants someone to see things she hasn't seen, like that mirror.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's kind of a bit of a cheat for coaches to have those scripts, but it doesn't unleash the kind of creativity that being present does, like you've just said. Yeah.
So, Kerrie, I think we can go on having this conversation for a long time, and I would love to do it. But I just want to touch base a little bit on the topic on my area as well. I just want to ask you blankly.
Yeah.
When are you going to retire?
Well, I think I've picked up from my dad. Well, he always says, like, retirement, that's a swear word. Like, when people say to him, when are you going to retire? It's not this like clean cut, this is what we do and then we retire. When we're living a meaningful life, I guess we just go through different seasons and changes. But, and I can't promise, that I'd be writing books to a certain age, or, even any more books. I don't know. Let's maybe make the most of the ones I've got. But what I'm about is connecting with people, encouraging people, helping them see themselves, in a better light, with more light on them in their thinking. So why would I walk away from that? Do you know what I mean? I get such joy from people.
Why should you retire from connecting with others, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So retirement doesn't look like a tick box for me.
Yeah. That is very interesting, because this is what I find in most of the people like you who have found their purpose in life and who are passionate about giving this. That is what I call them. Those who have become unretirable, actually.
Yeah.
So it is very fascinating to see that.
Yeah.
I just want to ask one more question in this area. Somebody who is like, you're a coach, and you must have come across so many people whom we call stuck in the mud in their life. Some people call it the midlife crisis, whatever. So they are stuck in their careers, they are stuck in their life, they are stuck in their finances, their debts, and all those things. They are struggling.
Yeah.
But these struggles came because of certain habits they had and certain beliefs they had, right? And they are still stuck. So for these kind of people, for them to become unretired, what is the shift in their thinking, or what is the thing they need to do? If you're telling me,
in terms of doing, I would say journaling.
Yeah.
But in terms of thinking, it's noticing.
Yeah.
Which both happens when you put pen to paper. So really we get ourselves unstuck also by connecting and having meaningful conversations with others. Like sometimes we need to, phone a friend and say, what do you see that I do well? Because right now all I'm seeing is how I'm stuck, what I'm not good at, what I'm not doing well. But could you share a different perspective?
Yeah.
Like you're still in my life for some reason. What is it you see in me? I think we need to have those honest conversations. So I'd probably say honest conversations with pen and paper, because that's honest conversations with ourselves, connecting with ourselves and connecting with others, because we can't do life alone. And so asking for help, asking for clarity is the thing that will often shift us like forward, propel us forward. Because while we are stuck, we don't want to tell anyone we're stuck. And that just puts us in a spiral of shame. So when we just go, can I talk to you? Then anything is possible.
Yeah, it's so amazing that other people are also willing to help when you ask for help, right? But I have seen a lot of people actually, instead of asking another human being, they will go and Google. Now they will go and ask AI.
Yeah.
On ChatGPT or some other AI platforms, they will ask, I'm having this. They are looking for AI generated solutions, and they think it's right. Or sometimes it can be right, but sometimes it can also be wrong, right?
Yeah.
Because your situation is unique to you, right?
Yeah.
So how important that is actually to talk to another human coach, human mentor, human advisor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so much more important.
Yeah.
But we often go for the easy way out. Like the brain's lazy, and also we don't need courage to ask ChatGPT. We do need courage to confess that we're a bit stuck. And sometimes it's not about asking for advice or asking for help, but asking to be heard. Because if I need to untangle my thoughts, I don't need to just give you one sentence about how I'm stuck and then have like a barrage of information come at me. It's like I might need to say, can I talk something through? And I just need you to hear me. And I think I need to hear myself share something, to be able to sit and not jump in and try and rescue. Sometimes we might need to set our friends up to support us by saying, I just need to be heard right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So if I can summarize what you're saying that actually to be connected, to practice human connection, to connect with others, you need courage.
Yeah.
Is it your message?
Yeah, we need to connect with ourselves and connect with others.
Have courage to ask.
Yeah.
Courage to have difficult conversations.
Yeah.
Courage to approach someone. Right?
Yeah.
So a lot of courage you need.
A lot of courage, because it actually takes courage to look at ourselves too.
Yeah.
Even connecting with ourselves is courageous, because one of my clients said to me, I didn't want to call you because I knew that you would ask me to notice my thinking.
So he was scared.
And I don't want to go there just yet. But she knew that it needed courage to listen to herself, because she said, I've just been filling my mind with podcasts and like it's all positive, good stuff, but I haven't been giving myself space to think and notice. And so it actually takes courage to hear yourself think. And that's why the journaling helps. But you've got to be courageous enough to do it. Be honest with yourself, then you can be honest with others.
Wonderful. And as a last word of wisdom, something which you have acquired over the lives, which has changed your life, would you like to share with my audience? What would it be?
I think it was one of my very first mentors said, when you're nervous, you're thinking about yourself. And that's not a judgment, that's an observation. Again, it's noticing. If I feel nervous, it's because my focus is inward. It's like, do I look okay? Do I sound okay? What will they think about me? And so we can shift that quite easily once we're aware. It's like, notice it, then you can go, okay, what if I'm just here to encourage or to welcome somebody or be curious? And so to shift that thinking. So it really comes down to serving others. And I think if we are serving each other in life, in our conversations, in all those little moments, then it's beautiful what opens up. Because when we're trying to grab something for ourselves, it's like it's not the free energy that comes from like, how can I support you? How can I serve? Can I open the door for you? Can I get you a drink of water? Those things just light us up and connect us.
Great. Yeah. Thank you very much, Kerrie. Being on my show, and it's been an amazing conversation. I think we can keep on talking about this, and so much important and relevant at this era of this time we are living in right now. And thank you. I wish you all the best with your work, and I hope more people will be connected in the future, and people will actually are more open up to talk to strangers as well.
Well, thank you. Yes, it's just been beautiful to sit and chat with you and share some of those moments over the last couple of days. Yeah. Keep connecting.
Sure. Thank you.
Until next time, don't forget to practice that human connection. Have the courage to ask for help when you're stuck, And as always, don't forget to be unretirable and don't forget to be awesome. Thank you.